Some women never grow up. They do not mature. They remain psychologically trapped in a limbo of eternal youth, enchanting, playful, spontaneous, yet profoundly fragile. If you look closely, you might notice this not only in others, but perhaps within yourself. These women live as if life were an endless dress rehearsal, a dream they never intend to wake from. They drift from one experience to the next, one passion to another, without ever fully inhabiting a single reality. Their relationships are intense, but fleeting. Their ambitions grand, but unrealized. They speak of freedom, but behind their eyes is an unspoken sorrow, a silent resistance to the responsibilities and sufferings of adult life. Arthur Schopenhauer would understand this condition intimately. In fact, he would consider it a tragic consequence of modernity's increasing efforts to avoid pain, to escape suffering, to deny the nature of existence. According to Schopenhauer, life is governed not by reason or logic, but by the will, an unconscious, irrational, insatiable force that drives all living things to crave, desire, and suffer. For women who remain fixated in a state of psychological girlhood, this will manifests as the desire to remain untouched by hardship, to keep all doors open, to float above the weight of real existence. The eternal girl refuses to confront the will in its rawest form. She constructs a life based on the avoidance of suffering, imagining that freedom lies in lightness, in charm, in perpetual beginnings. She idealizes love, but flees intimacy. She dreams of passion, but avoids commitment. What she truly fears is not aging. It is reality. It is limits. It is the painful process of individuation, of stepping beyond fantasy into the harsh light of truth. To mature is not to accumulate years or experiences, but to abandon illusions, to realize that no amount of beauty, love, or novelty will free you from suffering. Where does this refusal to grow come from? Schopenhauer would say the answer lies in the very metaphysical fabric of human existence. He saw the human condition as inherently tragic. To live is to will, and to will is to suffer. Every desire we experience is ultimately the expression of the will, a blind force that drives all creatures to seek, to hunger, to reach for things they cannot hold. For the eternal girl, this metaphysical truth is unbearable. She does not want to grow, because to grow means to wake up, to recognize that the world is not here to fulfill her. It is indifferent. Each pleasure fades, each dream dissolves, each love story must either end or become mundane. To accept this is to renounce the illusion that life is a romantic journey toward everlasting happiness. Our culture worships youth precisely because it fears aging, and aging is not merely the loss of vitality. It is the approach of existential confrontation. The beautiful tragedy of life becomes undeniable. For the wise, this can be a moment of liberation, but for those clinging to fantasy, it is unbearable. This video is not designed to make you feel good. It's not here to flatter or entertain. It is here to confront you with a difficult truth, that remaining in eternal girlhood, no matter how beautiful or praised it may appear, is a spiritual dead end. You are not meant to live suspended in potential. You are meant to grow into something harder, wiser, and far more resilient than you ever imagined. Inside every woman lies a battlefield, not between good and evil, but between illusion and reality. The eternal girl represents its most refined expression. She is the personification of hope without grounding, of beauty without depth, of potential that never chooses to become. She remains suspended in time, unaware that the true enemy is not the world around her, but her own resistance to growing up. Schopenhauer saw this tension as the very nature of human consciousness. For him, the psyche is a tragic arena where the will, the drive to live, to have, to become, wages endless war against the quiet wisdom of renunciation. The maiden archetype is the will in its most intoxicating form, bright-eyed, enchanted by the belief that happiness is just one experience away. The mature self represents what Schopenhauer called the negation of the will, the disillusioned soul who has stared deeply into life's abyss and chosen to stop running. This opposition is the real source of suffering in women trapped in the archetype of the eternal girl. The maiden wants to dream forever. She is novelty, imagination, romance. But she is also impermanence. She cannot endure repetition. She avoids discipline. She recoils from the mundane structures that adulthood demands. As long as she reigns, the woman will live as a flicker of light, beautiful but unsustained. Schopenhauer would see in her a living contradiction, someone who craves meaning but resists the sacrifice that meaning requires. Because meaning cannot survive on charm alone, it must be earned through time, patience, suffering, and discipline. The mature woman, the one Schopenhauer might call wise, does not flee from discomfort. She embraces it as the very path to peace. She does not seek fulfillment in external pleasures, but in detachment from them. The eternal girl is seductive. She draws people in with ease. Her spontaneity, her intensity, her emotional openness makes her seem alive in a way that others often envy. She's not just admired, she's worshipped. But like all idols, she stands on unstable ground. Beneath her shine lies a deep and growing void. Her energy is electric, but unsustainable. Her passion is fiery, but short-lived. Her relationships follow a cruel rhythm. She seeks deep connection, or claims to. She dreams of sublime union, of being seen and cherished. But the moment reality enters, when the other reveals themselves to be human, flawed, she recoils. The magic disappears. She says something changed, but the truth is that nothing changed. What changed was her projection. She no longer saw herself reflected in an ideal. Now she sees another person, and that to her is unbearable. Schopenhauer warned against romantic love, not because he disbelieved its power, but because he understood its trick. Love, he wrote, is the will's most cunning deception. The eternal girl is ensnared in this illusion. She seeks salvation through romance, through drama, through the ecstasy of being desired. But she does not want love that lasts. She wants love that enchants. The tragic pattern continues in her professional life. She is full of ideas, passion, and enthusiasm, until structure enters, until routine becomes necessary. Then she flees. Schopenhauer would say she is a slave to the novelty of beginnings. But beginnings are not accomplishments. Dreams are not discipline. She claims to be searching for meaning, but often what she's really doing is escaping discomfort. The illusion of freedom is her guiding star. She values independence, but it is not autonomy she seeks. It is avoidance. Avoidance of failure, of permanence, of self-definition. Real freedom, as Schopenhauer would argue, is not the ability to flee. It is the strength to remain. It is not freedom from responsibility, but freedom within responsibility. To her, commitment means death. Choosing one thing means killing off all other possibilities, and so she stays in the maybe this, maybe that, maybe later. But maybe is not a life. It is a stall, a purgatory of potential, and nothing planted in maybe ever grows roots. Behind her sabotage lies a hidden pain, a psychic wound she cannot name. It is this wound that drives her movement, her reinvention, her endless pursuit of the next thrill. But all of it is just noise, designed to drown out the truth she already knows. She is lost, not because she is weak, but because she has never been taught how to stand still in suffering. What happens when the music stops, when youth fades, charm tires, and fantasy begins to bore? Schopenhauer believed this moment, this psychological crash, is not a tragedy, but an invitation, a doorway to freedom. Not the freedom to do anything, but the freedom from needing to. The eternal girl may spend decades resisting this truth. But reality is patient. Her identity, once so sparkly and effortless, begins to feel heavy. She becomes a caricature of her younger self. And inside, the pain of not becoming turns from discomfort to suffering. Not because life betrayed her, but because she betrayed herself. She mistook adoration for love. She mistook potential for purpose. This woman, now broken open, learns to stop performing. She accepts the impermanence of everything. She embraces stillness. She begins to build not with excitement, but with consistency, not with fantasy, but with realism. She commits, not to a role or ideal, but to herself. She stops demanding that life make her happy and begins asking how she can make peace with life as it is. This is not the death of the girl, it is her integration. The maiden becomes part of the whole, no longer the queen, but a voice within her court. The mature woman, awakened through suffering, no longer fears aging. She has passed through the mirror and emerged sovereign, and now she leads not with charm, but with truth. This is what Schopenhauer offers, not hope in the traditional sense, but liberation through clear vision. The path is hard, lonely, and full of sacrifice, but it is real. And unlike fantasy, it will not abandon you when the lights go out. So if something in this spoke to you, let it challenge you. The eternal girl may be a chapter, but she is not your ending. Your real story begins the moment you choose to wake up.